Right, so it's the 25th of March 2025 and it's all doom and gloom. Right, so the burning problem has been bad overnight, extremely bad after 11 AM this morning. Also had itchy feet all night. I don't know what's causing that, but my feet were itching, both feet, persistently right through the whole of last night for at least 8 hours, and I've still got the itching now. Obviously it's going since I've been out, but I'm not sure what's causing that, but it could be a sign of diabetes or liver problems or whatever, so I've got to be careful on that. But at the same time, this was happening when I wasn't drinking spirits or anything like that, and I was on my normal drinks, so I'm not sure what's caused that. Could be connected to the energy weapons or whatever's causing it. There's a couple of loud bike issues, but it wasn't really that bad. So someone says, sick cunt Justin breaking in. There's been quite a few threats. Threats are suddenly on the increase for some reason. Mostly outside, it appears. Too old to have a sex partner, said. A sex partner, Justin, sorry. Everyone looks like Lisa, Justin said. You've got dog barks hell. I'm not sure what I wrote there. And then says pervert. Prison, you pervert. Sound made with some form of drill in the building, because people have been sawing and drilling this morning in the building. So it's likely that there's been some people, the maintenance people or whatever, I don't know. Right, so dog barks as to say no one left Justin, and fuck your, I won't say what it says actually because it's not suitable. Straight after that there's a gun sound from a neighbour. It might not be, but that's what it sounded like. Jungle Justin, child rapist, he's fucking sick, said. Justin, you're a child rapist, molested Stephanie Jill, said, in temper. That sounded like it was coming from underneath me, so whether it's one of the maintenance people, whether it's a neighbour I've not seen yet, I don't know, but it sounded like that. Dangerous man, just making this up, said from outside. Sick you are, Justin, got to go with someone extremely ugly, said. And then obviously they said daddy just. So what they mean by that when they say that is to say you're supposed to be a single a father, basically. Obviously the burning situation worsens at 11:40 AM. Nobody wants you here, Justin said. When I go out there's a Somerset Waste partnership. SMV van. Yeah, I hope he gets stabbed with HIV, said by someone crossing the road. Drains hit over. Started catalytic converter setups. Loads of people pushing push chairs. And most of those push chairs that are being pushed are in a modern design that looks knife shaped. Then there's a load of colliding on the bridge just after I pass a bridge to try and smash me to pieces, with about 50 cars. Drive with Sophie car and Grand Pear van. They don't usually care. There's a couple of Sophies I knew. One was at school years ago, but she didn't really like me, and that's at Elmwood School, and she's about 2 years younger than me, something like that. The other Sophie is just someone that was working in Morrison's at Burnham-on-Sea. She could actually tell that I was single, and eventually, just before Morrison's closed down to turn over to B&M, she was applying that she was single, but it turns out later on that I was mistaken as Savan, and she thought I was Savan instead of Justin. And we were in a time period where people were saying that you're sick if there's age gaps, and saying you shouldn't be looking at me then. you know, sort of like that. I can't remember what was said now, but you had that issue. So obviously she's turned against me, and I haven't seen her since. Well, I have, but not in recent years, and obviously she's a single mother today. Right, Crow says shot dead. Suitable order car. So it says suitable order on the side of the car. The times have changed, jumper. Up the age van. Lisa Pike lookalike my way. Spastic push my way about the age of 60. Obviously, I could be a bit politer than that. I could put it down as like a mentally ill person. Bird says no one left. Child molester. Someone says you says made up. Like that, similar to that. Crow says pervert. Bird says sicko Justin. And got the catalytic converter hot point. Obviously there was a car time there as well. And there's been another morning where there's been quite a lot of aircraft. I think it's afternoon now, but yeah. Right, so I've been speaking to someone who goes to the church. This is a Christian bloke, someone who's deeply religious and believes in Jesus Christ and Yahweh. So I had a quick conversation. I didn't hang about too long because obviously what he said pissed me off, to be fair, because you know, I've never had anyone, and his answer was a bit cold, to be honest, because he has no idea that I've been sexually abused as a child. He doesn't know that, because I don't talk about that sort of thing. But what he said is basically this. I sort of said, I'm actually 43, coming up 44, and I'm not quite sure why I've never had a partner in my whole life, or whatever, or, you know, sex or whatever. And he said that's possibly because God doesn't want you to have a sex partner. God wants you to, you know, and sort of saying shit like that. And I thought, well, I've heard this before. So obviously I said, I'm going to get on now, I've got to go. So had to be polite, obviously, but yeah, I wasn't happy about it, because obviously I'm being told that I'm a sicko by the modern community if I fancy anyone that's sexual. But you've got to take into account people 10 years older or 15 years older than people who sexually abused me as a child at the age they would have been at the time it happened are telling me I'm a sick cunt. So you've got to take into account that there's no way I'm going to get anyone at all at the age of someone who sexually abused me as a child. It's going to have to be at least 15 years older, because people are moaning about the age, which is not good, because if you've been sexually abused as a child and never had sex all your life, you're being told to basically go with someone 15, 20 years older than the age they would have been when they sexually abused me as a child. Also, Jesus Christ in his living life had a sex partner called Mary Magdalene, but they can't confirm it, but there's an old manuscript that could possibly be evidence of Jesus Christ being in a relationship. Take into account, Jesus would have been in a relationship when he was in his 20s, teens, or whatever, because he was crucified at 33, and I'm told I'm a sick cunt if I look at anyone at the age of 33. So, what do? You just have to accept that you're sexually abused as a child, and that Jesus has raped the guts in and out me and enjoys sex with me, forcing me to enjoy sex with people that raped me as a child, and to stop me getting sex all my life. And according to a past life clairvoyant reading that I had, going back 15, 20 years ago, she basically said I was a lady in my last life who died in my early 20s tragically, and was working in a laboratory. And she said I've had a very bad childhood in my previous life as a girl, because I was sexually abused, and it was very negative in my previous life. But she was hoping that this life would change, and obviously you've got to take into account this reading I had 15 years ago. But unfortunately, this life's turned out like my last life. So I've been sexually abused, and I've been stopped from getting sex all my life. Right, so the next thing I want to mention is, with setups, especially in the year of 2023, and sections of 2024 or whatever, they're making the suggestion that when you die, you're going to be sexually abused as a child in your next life, and you're going to be ripped to fucking pieces. So, and also making the suggestion, or applying, that you're not going to be entitled to sex, and that sex is going to be forbidden from you in the whole of your next life as well. So that's committing blue murder sexually on me in 3 lives in a row. But there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way the Creator God has mapped out my life, and according to this Christian, God doesn't want you to have anyone, so how fucking nice. Right, so for the last 2 months, there's hardly been any threats. There's all sort of been mild threats or remarks, and I've managed to go into the town many times without problems, and I've been to the bars as well, you know, the pub. So, and I haven't had problems there. But the last 3 days, things seem to be kicking off now, and I've had another 2 threats, and it's all the regular types of threats, you know, the stuff I usually mention, like, I'm going to smash you to fucking pieces, I'm going to inject you with HIV, I'm going to fucking knife him down, I'm going to fucking shoot him dead, I'm breaking into his fucking place, I'm going to fucking stab him, he's a fucking child rapist, a fucking woman beater, you name it, you name it. So you've had all that, and then obviously there was a conversation by a couple rough people that passed me as well in their mid-20s, with beards, but rough looking. And obviously some of the people that give me threats have this accent where I say, I'll fucking do this to him, I'll fucking will, I'll bash him up, blah blah blah, I'll fucking have him, I'll fucking kill him, I'll fucking, you know, sort of that sort of accent. But there's actually been a few threats that have come from the more traditional accent of people that have started on me in the past. And then after that, there's a person in the car that's on the phone. At the time he was on the phone, I was actually on the phone to a friend, because a friend phoned me up. And I couldn't really make out what was being said, but it was like in a tone to apply, I'll fucking murder him, I'll fucking have him, you know, he's the fucking child rapist, he's walking past now, sort of thing. No, it would have been something that was suggestive like that, but like I said, I didn't actually hear what was being said, but it didn't sound very good. And that chap was sitting in his car yesterday as well when I passed him, but there was no problems yesterday, so it could be misheard, but it definitely didn't sound good. But like I said, I was on the phone and I wasn't concentrating on what he was saying, because I was concentrating on the person I was speaking to on the phone. Right, so the next thing I want to mention happened about half an hour ago, and I've had a phone call, a malicious phone call. So, you know, I mentioned this Gemma Ferguson. Well, I've been mistaken as being in Burnham, so a lookalike to myself has obviously gone into the charity shop where she works, or has passed her on a regular basis in recent times, and it's come back at me with a malicious phone call today. So this bloke saying, started getting nasty on the phone and saying, if you don't stop fucking following Gemma, I'm going to absolutely fucking smash you to pieces, I'll break your fucking legs off, I'll break your fucking arms off, and started going on like that, getting nasty, kind of said in a term way, I wouldn't say shouted, but very strongly said, and very violently, because I tried to audio record it, but at the time I was a bit nervous, and I needed to hear what he said because I was very concerned. And then he said Gemma's only 30 something, I can't remember what it was, I think it was 32, and saying that you're a fucking sad bastard, and saying that you're in your fucking 40s, and going on like that. And then after that he said, you're going to fucking pay for this, and saying you're fucking dead, don't you ever come to Burnham-on-Sea ever again, because you won't know what fucking hit you. So he basically started saying that down the phone in bad temper, and saying just fucking leave her alone, and she doesn't like you, and she doesn't like mentally ill fucking people like you, you're just a sick bastard. So this is basically what he said, and he said it in a rough term, and I felt like shouting back, but at the same time I didn't, because obviously I didn't want to risk being smashed up. So I just said on the phone, shitting myself, I just said, I'm not going to cause any trouble. I said I wasn't even there. I said, you've mistaken me as someone else that looks like me, and you phoned me up, and then I told him that I haven't been to Burnham-on-Sea, you know, for well over a year. And actually going to Burnham-on-Sea by myself, I haven't been to Burnham-on-Sea since 2023, when I was camping in that heatwave in September, and when I had that appointment in September of 2023. So I have phoned a few people up to tell them about this specific phone call, because obviously this isn't on my main phone. This is on my other phone that I have switched off quite frequently and just use it for like Facebook accounts or whatever. But it's an older phone that's been, you know, it's not used that often, but it's one that I sometimes put on just to check all the messages and all the things like that, and carry it around with me on some days. And that's what I did today, and that's what happened. The phone call occurred. So this is a phone I've had in use for about 5 years, but it is a phone, no, 4 years actually, because it's not a phone I had at my old place, because I put a new SIM card in when I moved to Yeovil. But it's one of the oldest phones, you know, that I use, and I used to use it for clairvoyant readings and stuff like that. Just I haven't bothered to, you know, top it up. And then obviously on some of them where there's been trouble on another phone or whatever, I've had to break the SIM card up in the past. So that's what I'm going to have to do with this phone now. Passing that little track that goes to 2 houses. It happened over 15 times yesterday. It goes nowhere else. It goes to 15 houses, and they were timing a car every time in both directions where I was passing there, apart from several times, of a total of about 15 times every time I was passing that section. Well, I've only passed that section twice today, and they're timing it. Yes, and my Willie shoots up a bike. Yes, it's funny, Christ, it's fucking funny, you fucking screwed up bastard. When I said 15 houses, I meant 2 houses, 2 bungalows. That's what it goes to, and they managed to get as many vehicles on that section as possible. And also on this road, I've managed to get to so far, but you still have to over 10 cars, which is over record-breaking amount before 2 weeks ago. Right, so digital audio recorder wants to fuck up. So we've had about 30 cars on that road, and obviously there's a started catalytic converter, and obviously I can't smell still, because I've still got the flu, all the symptoms where you can't smell properly. And obviously God wants to catalytic converter me. It's a catalytic converter, and it's black and fucking blue red. You evil bastard, Christ. And white. You snappy bastard, you fucking outright crest cunt, Christ. You're fucking crest, Christ. You're fucking cruel. You're a fucking nasty, nasty bastard. So you've got head out at the roundabout, black and fucking blue, right? Yes, it's a catalytic converter, guys. A catalytic converter. Yes, it smells like vinegar mixed with the smell of fucking garden cress, Christ. You crooked cunt. Right, as you expect, the nasty bastard just slamming the traffic, packing the fucking road as fucking nasty as they can fucking slam it at me. And it's Wayne, right? Wayne, Christ, Wayne! Wayne Langford, Christ, Wayne! That's right, the camera doesn't work now, you bastard, Christ. That's right, it doesn't operate, Christ. We must disguise it, you bastard. You little fucking scum fuck cunt. We're digging when we're fucking shit stirring with this fucking Wayne lately. In 2006, 2007 is the only years where they were suggesting Wayne, and then it died off. And now they need to shit stir with a Wayne business because they want to see that as the best sex in the world when it's fucking nothing. The creator's absolutely fucking buckled. This is on the fucking Deep Depression pack, fucking #1, yeah? So when I did the Deep Depression, my life story pack, if I can get that catalyst down my throat fast enough, Christ, you crest bastard, you fucking evil cunt, you fucking buckled fucking tight-fisted ice axe and fucking fire staking bastard. Right, so yeah, when I did the original My Life story pack, or hard evidence that God doesn't exist, the Wayne business was taken into account. Fuck's sake. Catalyst, Christ, catalytic converter. Now I turn my head and there's a whistle lorry but a catalytic converter, Christ. It's very gassy, it smells like vinegar, Christ. Obviously I can't smell it, but I'm a catalyst, Christ. There's nothing I can do about it, because you're buckling me, Christ. You're causing me to need to breathe that in. It's a catalytic converter, Christ. A catalytic converter. You fucking buckled hell-bent cunt. Right, something else I want to mention. Just like yesterday, they're circling me with the sunshine, and they're doing exactly what they done yesterday, except the gap is not as wide. So there's about a mile radius in the sky circling the sun, so that the sun's being held down on me, with evaporating clouds and blue sky of another 2 miles all around me. Otherwise, everywhere else, all around me, when you go past that 2 mile radius in all directions, or just a bit over that, then it's thick grey cloud everywhere. So it's been done on purpose. Like I said, well, actually yesterday, today's the start of the nasty malicious setups again. We've had several days where they've been applying good life and good sexual setups and suggestions that you're being rewarded with sex. And obviously yesterday they made the suggestion that there's going to be a replacement to this Lauren on sexuality for this sexual cursed sunny day painting or whatever. And then obviously today it just seems to be malicious setups and digging, going back to all the fucking shit of the 1990s to dig about Wayne at the moment. It's all Wayne business today, and yesterday it was all Sadie Dando business, when I've never had sex and never raped Sadie Dando. So they're just fucking going on and going on like that. And I've never had sex with Ian Dando, and I've never had sex with Amy Weston, and I've never had sex with Stephanie Jill or Hill, whatever her surname is. Right, so there's been a blue mixed with grey knife looking car timed, then a red gun looking car timed, a red car with evil looking lights, with light on, woolly up, so I look like someone who sexually abused me as a child, timed to that erection. But also in the distance there was a loud bike, as a loud bike is covered for regardless of whatever setups occur when it comes to the erection. A blue and a blue car after that. Up the age van, the same one I saw earlier, SHK Baxter or Chic Baxter van, Granny for You van, or mini bus or whatever, grey sexual car with light on over drain cover. And there's a new vehicle I've not seen before. There's got a picture of a posh looking man that's looking very pleased and very grateful. And then up there you just had a grey knife shape timed. Right, so Willie shoots up to a bike timed, and then there's a black sexual car. The crow keeps on repeating B-A-B, it's a bab. And then Forces Fit van. Started cars, red car, blue, very sexual timed, and there's spit talk hits my face. And red car with light on, started van. And then another started catalytic converter. Right, so there's a movement control car stopping me get to the rubbish bin just to put a wrapper in there. So eventually, after pissing about and all this awkward stuff and people sneezing or whatever, I decided just to fucking put it on the floor. Right, so a grey white smash loudly over a drain cover timed. There's an Amanda Ward car which starts just before I pass with a catalytic converter on it. A red car. Yeah, he's sick, he molested a child, said. After that we got Wainwright timed. Just come to fucking pieces t-shirt lookalike. So basically it's like a modern football t-shirt that resembles the t-shirt that says just come to fucking pieces. After that there's a smash up car, so it says smash up on the side of it, which is a boy racer car or some form of rally boy racer car. Then they time the smash you to pieces lorry, or a lorry that looks like the flatbed lorry that says smash you to pieces. After that, la car, so it's got like a load of LA on a car. Right, so they're fucking about with the catalytic converter control. There's been half an hour without a single fucking car on this road. As soon as I reach a road, 6 cars have to pass. Right, so I just want to mention the setups over the last few days, because there's been some positive setups over the last few days, but obviously it's gone back to this evil setup. So, on the first day of when I still had the flu mind, so I still felt quite bad on these days. Obviously, I'm feeling a lot better today, however, I still can't smell properly. So, it started on that catalytic converter setup day where I got very stressed out, because obviously I was feeling ill, I couldn't smell the catalytic converter and I knew I was breathing it in persistently and whatever. And every car I was passing, it would reverse out the house, the first one, then the second one, then the third one, in that ascending order as I was passing each and every driveway. And then you just, in general, would have traffic up on traffic. So, the start of that day, I actually saw a lookalike to one of the staff workers, who looks like Bex, known as Rebecca, who works at supported housing where I live. However, I can't give surnames or anything like that because I'm not allowed to. And I was quite shocked that a lookalike to her, but younger, so this person was only about 20ish, maybe early 20s or whatever, and she actually looked at me as if I was an okay person. There was no suggestion to make it sound like I'm sick or anything like that, so I was quite surprised about that. But obviously the rest of the day was just basically that. All the other setups didn't seem to be making much of a suggestion. I mean, you had a couple of cars like black and blue, but the actual setups on that day was sort of hardly no setups. It was just pissing about with the amount of cars that they were constructing around me and all that sort of stuff. And now it did annoy me a little bit. When we come to the evening of that specific day, which is known as day 1, because I need to do the other days as well, so that's called day 1. The catalytic converter setup is known as day 1 of the sexual setups, but then obviously it turns back to its nasty suggestions later on, which I'll go on about later on in this recording. But firstly, let's do day 1. So, obviously, I got a bit niggled, and obviously I was in a bit of a huff, because obviously, I was feeling a bit ill, and obviously I couldn't stay at my place because obviously the burning problem, and incidentally, the last 3 days, the burning problems got extremely bad again. I'm not quite sure what was causing my feet to itch all night last night for about 10 hours, or 8 hours, but I had that problem as well. But anyway, so the rest of that day is just basically me pissing about in the graveyard, before eventually drinking my vodka and coming back home. So that's that. However, I did try and do a bit of graffiti because I was in a bit of a huff in the evening, and that's when someone was accusing me of trying to film him, and he got nasty with me and said, I'll fucking knock you out and I'll fucking smash you flying. I said, and he's a very rough type person, and that's why I try to avoid that area. So there's 2 routes that are in that area, and I still take the other route, taking a risk, but if things do kick off again, obviously I shall just keep away from that area and do new walks, or just stick in the area that I'm around now, basically, or whatever. And then obviously that's that, basically. So that's day 1, which is known as the catalytic converter setup day. It's day 2 where the change takes place and the sexual setups come in. I mean, obviously there's days before that, but the days before day 1 were just general setups, casual flow of setups and malicious suggestions, or evil fucking force against me in the casual way is always done. So the catalytic converter setup is day 1 of when you had the positive setups for a few days. And obviously, let's go into day 2, shall we? So day 2 was pretty much similar to day 1. It wasn't really that bad for setups or structural force against me or anything like that. But it became a lot more pleasurable when the sexual setup started to come in on day 2. So initially it didn't start straight away. and the setups, there was a lot of traffic, but it was not excessive like it was on the catalytic inverter controlled day I mentioned, which is day 1. Day 2 seemed to be a bit different. It's slightly less, it's still busy, but the change took place as I was heading towards West Coker, or the end of the line on the Barrack Walk. So it doesn't actually go to West Coker, it goes to the main road that goes to West Coker. And there's about half a mile, or maybe just a quarter of a mile, from that area onwards to get to West Coker. But being a busy road, I'd prefer to do that at a different time, a different day, and preferably on using the bus service, because of the traffic flow that goes down that road and how busy it is. It's just very irritating and very annoying. So I've never actually been to West Coker, but it will be a place that I'll probably try out at some point, you know, but on public transport, not by means of doing this walk, because obviously it would piss me off because of how busy it is, you know, that road. Anyway, just before I reached the end of the line, I got down the track of the to the road, and that's where the change of all the setups occurred. So firstly you had a light green car, and then you had a light green van that said Just Mint. I can't remember the names on the following vehicles, but basically it was a suggestion to say that your life's going to change, and that you're going to have sex, and basically saying that you're going to have sex with a sexual looking person and someone you fancy, and that your life is going to completely change, it's going to get better. So I reached the end line, you know, to the point where you can go no further unless you go on the main road to West Coker. And as I was turned around, a couple of minutes after I turned around to go back, initially there's some mentally ill people that were pushed my way. Obviously these people can't help it, but I'm just telling you what happened when I changed direction. And then after that there was more sort of sexual setups, and it started becoming more positive to suggest that your life's going to get better. A couple of t-shirt names, I can't remember what the wordings were, you know what it said on the t-shirts or the vans, but I noticed that there was a sudden change of positive setups. And then after that, as I was going to the next part, they were making the suggestion with setups of people moving house. So they were making the suggestion that you're going to be moving into a girlfriend's house or a sex partner's place, and that your life's going to change and get really better. And I thought to myself, that's a suggestion that's being made. So I had in my mind that I'm getting nowhere on Home Finder, they're not moving me and nothing's taking place. So I thought, right, so we get to the next part and there's a similar suggestion, and there's a lady in the window. So she's like a very sexy lady with smooth skin, which surprised me for the age that she looked, because she was about 50ish, and it's not very often that people have like the skin type of someone in their early 20s or late teens. So, but this person did have that skin, and she was very sexual looking with dark hair. Anyway, she was doing something in the window. A certain pose she was doing where I can't remember what the pose was now, but it was, come on, are you stupid, or something like that maybe? I can't remember what it was. But there was a suggestion that was positive, and it was to apply. And then obviously you had another setup which was to apply that you're going to be moving. And I thought to myself, oh, well, I wish I could move, but how is that moving going to take place, and who's moving me? You know, it just apply that you were moving. So I thought, yeah, that's a good setup, you know, because I want to move. But what happened after that, I went to go back down the track. So it would have been about 20 minutes since I last was at the track that I came out of before I walked into all these positive setups, and to the end of the line where it nearly goes to West Coker. But obviously when I turned around and went back, and you had that moving house suggestion or whatever, I then came back to the track that I initially came out of, and it was closed off because hedge trimming was taking place. So I decided to go around into the field and get back on the path further down. once I did that, these sexual suggestions and things, whatever like that, were still positive suggestions. And by the time that I reached, you know, say 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you already had stuff like sex for you, it's your lucky night, sexuality, and a Bob Marley top that says to the rescue, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, yeah, that's a good setup. And that was on the second day, which is called day 2. Now it's time to move on to day 3, because there's not much else that happened on day 2. I just had my vodka, and eventually I went back, and it was quite a peaceful evening when I got back. However, the burning problem was bad. However, the last 3 days, that burning problem's been very, very bad again. But anyway, let's go to day 3, shall we? So day 3 is the main sexual suggested day. So all the setups were down, all the control force around me was down. There's a few loud bikes, obviously, tying to a stretch, but take that away. It's one of the least set up days I've come across in recent times. And it was mostly sexual setups, or to apply that your life's getting better, or suggestions like that. And I thought to myself on that day, well, this is not a bad suggestion, because obviously I've not had anyone in my whole life. I've never had a girlfriend. And I thought to myself, is it going to be possible at 43, coming at 44, with the suggestions that they're applying? You know, a single lady that's sexy with smooth skin, that's not a single mother, that will be able to have sex with me at the age I'm at. And I thought, and you know, I started walking into, you know, sexual people as well, and I thought, this is very unusual, considering these setups are usually malicious and bitterly cold and whatever. I think this was the day I actually walked into a lookalike to Olivia Binfield, who's a girl that went on Britain's Got Talent many, many years ago when she was a child, and she was holding a pet snake, Lucy. With this lookalike to Olivia, how she would look today, because obviously she's an adult today, she's a woman, there's a lookalike to this Olivia. It wasn't Olivia, but it was a lookalike, and she sort of looked at me as if she was giggling as she passed me and looking at me, you know, but giggling and like, I know what you want, or sort of that sort of suggestion. And you know, I thought that's all right, isn't it, you know, and whatever. So I think it was on that day. I mean, it might have been the day before, but I think it was on the 3rd day where I saw that lady. And obviously she was quite young, so she was only in her early 20s. And then obviously the rest of the day was sort of suggestions here and there, you know, positive sexual setups, you know. Most of the day, it was not really much else, it was just making suggestions, trying to get your hopes up, you know, and all the rest of it. And then obviously it was a calm evening, and it was calm when I went back, and obviously that was that. So the day after, I think it was the day I had a hangover, so I didn't go out until about 4 o'clock, and I was burning up really, really bad on that day. So that would have been day 4. And you had a few sexual setups, but the setup slightly changed into a more negative pattern. But when I got to Barrack, they were positive setups, and they were sort of going back to the sexual suggestions that were occurring on the previous day. But there wasn't many setups, because obviously it was quite late in the evening, and obviously, like I said, I had a hangover, and I think it was a Sunday. But there was a few loud bikes that irritated me. Take that away, it was pretty much quiet. I ended up having my drink pretty early, so it would have been about 8 o'clock in the evening, you know, my vodka or whatever, and then beers when I got back, and then obviously I went bed. So the next day, which was yesterday, things started to change a little bit. So it's like a mixture of setups yesterday. So we started off with some malicious setups to start with. On what day is it? Is it day 5? Something like that. Hang on, let's work it out. Day 1. Yeah, something like day 4, day 5. I can't remember what I said now, but it's the next day anyway. So on that day, it was yesterday, which was Monday. we started off with black and blue cars, a whole load of threats, so the threats started to increase, so people were giving me shit, threatening to bash me in, to break my legs and whatever. So I didn't really say much to the mental health team, because I saw them obviously yesterday to have a talk with them. So I thought to myself, there hasn't really been any threats in the last 2 months, so I thought, although there's been a few threats over the last day or whatever, it's not really worth mentioning to cause any trouble there. So I thought, considering there's been 2 months of no problems, you know, so I just left it. Anyway, the setup started to get a bit awkward. So initially it was getting nastier. So they were trying to accuse me of raping Sadie Dando when I've never had sex with her, and digging with this weighing business, which I mentioned earlier, because it's been like that today as well. So there's sort of going on with this weighing business, and pissing about with Sadie suggestions, or Sadie this, Sadie that, just rubbing it in with setups and control force. But at the same time, you still had the sexual setups or suggestions of good news. And then when we came later on in that day, in the evening, it started to become a little bit more positive. But then the setups dropped completely, and there was hardly any setups at all, and it was a quiet evening. Right, let's go to today now, shall we? Well, today has been pretty nasty. So there's been malicious setups, verticals to apply, smash you to pieces and all the rest of it. The actual sexual setups of today, there isn't any hardly. It just seems to have gone back to its initial, you know, problematic issues with setting up malicious force against me. It seems to be back in the original suggestion it was before the sexual setups occurred, from the catalytic converter setup day, which is day 1, to today. However, one thing I did want to mention, which occurred yesterday, is they were applying that they're going to replace this lorem when it comes to this sexual curse I mentioned. So there's this painting, and I mentioned this painting quite a few times. It's a picture of a sexy woman in her early 20s. So her legs are behind a cloud. She's partly naked, but dressed as well, if you get what I'm saying. I can't remember the picture that well. So she's got nice smooth skin. It's the same type of colour skin Britney Spears has got, and the type of smoothness of the skin Britney Spears has got, and the pale colour to the type of skin Britney Spears has got. But it would be how her skin was when she was in her early 20s. So they try and make the picture look really sexy in the way they designed it. So she's posing as sexy with her face. So she's going like this. You know, got a straight lip. They painted a straight lip, but made the lip look like it's wanting sex with you. It's sort of making a sexual pose in a more traditional way than the way they do sexual poses today, where they move their lip to one side or pose as a single mother. But back in the days of, say, the 80s and the 90s, people were posing in a more sexual, suggestive way rather than that sarcastic way or that single mother pose that they do today. So anyway, they designed the body in the painting to look like is an animal that's looking bad, that's wanting sex badly. To reply, I'm an animal that's wants sex, and she's stretching her hand down as if to reply she wants sex with you. And at the bottom of her hand, you've got the sunshine, and that sunshine is shining down on that chap that's walking down a woodland track, who's looking very low and depressed, and the chap in the painting has the same facial appearance as me from a side angle, but can look like it could either be a young chap or an old chap, depending on how you were to look at the picture. So it looks like someone in their early 20s, but it could suggest someone that's older. It's the way it's painted. It sort of doesn't give a sort of age look. It gives a sort of, it depends how you look at the picture. And if I remember, he's sort of wearing a sort of clothing that's quite rugged, so it's not not smart clothing, it's just like, you know, what a 50-year-old would wear, someone a bit older than 50 would wear. And I think he had like a backpack on or something like that. And if I remember, I think he had a torch as well in his hand. But whether the torch was on, I do not know, because I can't remember. So what else was it on that painting? So the rest of the picture is cloudy with dull weather. It's a very mystical and it's a very quality looking sort of dull colour drawing, you know, the painting. So it's one of those paintings that you really like if you saw it, even if it's not on the subject of your sort of painting. You'd like the painting anyways. It's one of those really nice ones. It's got a lot of detail. It's not something that's been painted overnight. This is taken time to do. So you got like a farmhouse on it, I think, and there might have been another, like a little hut in the background towards the top. There was fields in the picture, and I recall there possibly being a lightning strike in the top part of the picture on one of the sides, but I don't want to mention too much about the painting because, you know, I've only seen it that once and I've not taken it in properly, and you know, you keep on thinking about new things that could have been on that painting, and eventually you're just going to end up changing the picture altogether with things that never existed in the painting, if you get what I'm saying. So I try to stick to my original roots of how I saw the picture at the time, so I don't exaggerate or add things into the picture, into the painting that weren't there, basically. Otherwise, you know, it wouldn't be a very good if I was lying, sort of thing. So I try to stick to the original detail of what I remember. So when I initially saw it, I thought to myself, I saw this on the internet in 2015 or 2016, and obviously when I saw it in Yandles in Martok, I thought to myself, oh yeah, I saw that one before. And then as I was walking to the bus stop, I thought to myself, hang on a minute, I forgot to take a picture of that. And then I started to realise all the detail and all the things that were occurring. I thought to myself, and the sun and the curse and all the rest of it, and I thought, oh dear, what do I do? So I thought, well, it's the last bus that came at 4:20, because there's an early bus from there, because it's only like a village type place, Martok, or whatever, and I decided to get there again when I could get back on the bus to do it, when the bus wasn't packed. And obviously it was really hot sunny weather at that time because it was the middle of the summer. So when I did eventually go back, it wasn't there, so I had to get the lady to write the name of the artist on that piece of paper for me. But what happened was I lost that piece of paper, and when I got back I didn't know what the name was on the paper. But what I do recall remembering is I think both names, the first name and the last name, were at least or around 5 letters long or longer. So I went back a couple of months later, to find out again what the name of the artist is for that specific painting. And this time I was being treated a little bit more nastily, and they were telling me behind my back that I was a pervert and thinking I was Sven, and treating me like a piece of dirt. And it's the same woman as well, just had a different overall view about me than the previous time I went there. So I thought, oh well, fuck it. And as the days went on, I was being cursed with the sunshine persistently. So it was sunny with blue skies opening where I was, but the weather forecast on the BBC and the Met Office were claiming it's going to be cloudy on those days. And there's over 120 times where they predicted cloudy weather, and it's turned out to be blue skies and sunshine, but only where I am. So the sky's opening up only where I am. So I've been making documentaries to apply where if it's going to be sexual weather where I am, then where's the sex? Because I'm being violated, you know. And I thought to myself, yes, I'm falling into the victim into the trap of witchcraft done on me from that specific painting. So I thought, yes, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm getting a bit pissed off with the sunshine. I thought to myself, if I'm going to have the sunshine, where's the sex to go with it, and all the rest of it? And nothing occurred. It's just so what happened was initially, because I got evidence on a specific day of it being blue skies and sunshine circling around me, YouTube banned my account. So obviously it's still on YouTube, I just can't sign in. So I opened a new account, and that issue didn't occur again, and I just made more videos filming the Sun newspaper or the newspapers and keeping the camera on record and going out filming in the sun to confirm that it's blue skies and sunshine. Yet for the rest of the country, on one occasion or several occasions, it was grey cloud with no sun anywhere. So it was being done on me in a deliberate way, if you get what I'm saying. But when it came to these sexual curses, there's never anything that's ever occurred. Now, this painting of this sexual lady that's cursing this man with the sunshine looks similar to someone called Lauren. Now, this Lauren is someone that worked in Tesco's in Highbridge, so she's like a sexual looking lady. She saw my CD once because I used to write on a CD which I lean my paper on to write down problems when I go out, and it basically says, if anyone wants friendship, please contact me. I still haven't had nothing and more whatever, because obviously I'm 43 now and I've had nothing in my whole life. No girlfriend, no proper sex or anything like that. So she saw the disc and she was applying, she was single, but every time I was walking into her, I was getting problems. There was people getting nasty down the aisles in the Tesco store, and there was occasions where I had to leave the Tesco store because people wanted to start a fight with me because they were getting aggressive, because they were just roughneck type people that were causing trouble. And then obviously it was very rare I saw her after that. And when I did see her again, it's when the Savannah and Liam threat came in, when I was being mistaken as those two people, and eventually she just turned against me. And then I found out that she had a boyfriend called Mike, or a new boyfriend called Mike, that's occurred, and he shouted to say he's going to fucking smash me to fucking pieces from doing the work on the scaffolding. And later on, obviously a couple of years later, it turns out that she's been made a single mother and she's got 2 ginger haired boys. And then after that, obviously when she's seen me, she's just looked at me like a piece of dirt. Or there's even been threats that have occurred from her. And then there was a couple of years where I didn't see her at all, and I sort of never saw her, and then obviously it just went on and on and on, and then that was the end of that. However, if we go to yesterday, which is the last day of the sexual setups, mixed with suggestions to claim that I raped Sadie when I haven't, or digging with this Wayne business, you did still have, like I said, the sexual setups that were occurring in the same ways the day before, but it's starting to fade out. And obviously today we've just gone back to the normal setups. Obviously it's not the end of the day yet, so I can give you the rest of today, obviously after I've done or mentioned this bit on the recording. But yesterday what happened is you had a replacement van followed by a Tesco, so they're making the suggestion that they're going to replace the Lauren with the sexual curse on the painting. I mean, that person that's painted on that painting might not even be to suggest Lauren. It's just a lookalike to Lauren. So, you know, and when they issued it on postcards to sell it big in shops, you know, in card shops or whatever, that's recent as well. So Lauren's out of the picture, and she's been out of the picture for many years now. So when they reissued this and sold it big on postcards, that's only in the last few years. So who is it, and how are they going to replace it at my age, and who's it going to be? I mean, I don't know, but I don't even think that anything's going to ever happen, because I'm just too unlucky. But if they're making the suggestion that she's being replaced, you know, and they were applying the sexual sun curse, because you had the sexual sun curse yesterday and the day before. There's grey cloud everywhere else, but open blue skies where I am, and sunshine. You got it again today. But obviously today, all these setups are back to the nasty, malicious setups of how they usually are. So, fuck knows what's going to follow. But I'll keep the rest of the information on there that occurs for the rest of today. One other thing I want to mention is, in the time period these sexual setups were being suggested, is there was a lot of helicopters that were circling me. If we go back the day before yesterday, most of the day was just helicopters above me, circling me, anything from police helicopters to plane type vehicles in the sky of that sort of occurrence, and obviously it was occurring for most of the day. Yesterday, again, it was for most of the day, and obviously it's occurring again today. Now yesterday was very changeable, because like I said, it was a mixture of sexual suggestions in a positive way, but you had this other force that was against me, that was coming out malicious. Anything from accusing me of having sex with Sadie Dando, to digging with the Wayne business, to just causing trouble in the usual way the setups were the day before the catalytic converter setup day. So that's known as day one, which I've already mentioned. The day before that, it was just normal setups and malicious suggestions like it is today. So that's all ended. All the sexual suggestions or good news suggestions is all ended. So the start was obviously the day where the catalytic converter, where a load of vehicles were being put in my direction on that day. And then obviously the last day was yesterday, but obviously even though yesterday was the last day, when we came into the evening of yesterday, you noticed that the changeable setups just went back to its original nasty malicious setups, like the setups usually are 24/7 and have been for many years. I want to mention the animal voice sound issues that occurred in the time period of those sexual setups that were occurring over those several days. So basically, day one is what's known as the day where you had the catalytic converters. All the cars rigged up around me to cause the smell of vinegar or the smell of rubbing two stainless steel knives against garden cress to cause like a silvery smell. So on day one, which is that day, I'd say there was about 100 animal voice sounds that were coming out. So the voice sounds are anything like you're being knifed, you're being beat up, you're being injected with HIV, you're being smashed out, you're being raped as a child in your next life, you're going to the fire of hell, God has turned against you, and animals saying to tell me to fuck people that sexually abused me as a child, or telling me that I'm being ripped to fucking pieces, or being destroyed, or whatever, just things like that. So some of the stuff is quite far-fetched. They're even making suggestions to tell people to attack me, and they've done that many times in the past. So you had about 100 animal voice sounds on that specific day. So it wasn't too bad, but it was occurring. When we came into the sexual setup days of the suggested setups, starting with day 2, and that bloody road, that dead end, they're timing all the vehicles down there at the moment, but like I said, these setups have gone back to a malicious organised force again, so I don't know what it's going to be like for the rest of the day or later on. But like I said, once I mention this bit of information, I'll keep you updated with the rest of the day's problems on this recording. So you had about maybe a bit more than 100, maybe scraping 150 voice sounds on that day. Obviously it's upsetting these animals, these sexual setups, because they don't want me to have nothing. God doesn't want me to have sex. God wants me to be sexually abused, and God wants to rip me to pieces, and God wants to put me down as a child rapist, even though I've never had sex with a child or never beaten a woman. But there's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way that these animals have to say these things. When we came to the actual main sexual setup day, there was about about 250 animal voice sounds, and then yesterday was much the same, maybe a few more. As it stands today, we're back to the normal setups, and I say there's been roughly about 120-ish voice sounds coming from animals, but it's up and down. I've known it a lot worse. I've known there to be over 1,000 sounds in one day before now, and when the digital audio recording device broke when I was living in Bridgewater at West Street, animals were just shooting out their mouth, and it just went on for the whole day. Literally thousands upon thousands of voice sounds, with one specific creature just telling me this and that, accusing me of rape, accusing me of that, telling me I'm going to be ripped to pieces, I'm going to be knifed or whatever, just repeatedly all day long, every few seconds, right through that specific day. When I got my digital audio recording device the following day, all the animal voice sounds just suddenly dropped, and obviously the only times they do it were when I wasn't recording. However, I did manage to get more in the way of recordings back in that time, but nowadays when I try getting the evidence, animals shut up in a way where God doesn't want me to get the evidence, so he causes it, and he can stop it how he wants to, and that's why I never get the evidence. Right, so that dead end in the last 15 minutes has contained over 30 cars. So I don't know how that's occurred, and I think it's somewhere like November 2024 when it was last that busy, and I got in trouble and being asked what I'm doing down that dead end. And obviously the road next to it, there's been about 50 or 60 cars in the last 15 minutes. Although I haven't been on the road, I've been nearby it, and that's the same road where there can be 45 minutes or an hour without a single car. And there's another one, and again it's coming down this dead end right now. So what's causing that? Listen. Right, so now we've got a robbery looking lorry, and I can't get out of there because obviously I'm stuck here, and again it's coming down the dead end, so we're stopped at the moment. But so yeah, like I said, yeah, these setups are going to get nasty again. Alright, so they're bringing the catalytic converter control into the field, both ends, so I decided to go back in the other direction, to go back to the road to face it, and helicopters are following me again, I noticed. So there's been 4 cars on the road where there can be 45 minutes or an hour without any cars at all. Then a seagull says child molester just, but very clearly. And then where the rough people live, in that house just down there, they whistle being burgled straight after. Right, so I go back down that track, and initially I see a nice sexy lady in her mid-20s. So she's got smooth skin, but obviously she's not going to be single, and she looks like she could be connected to some form of rough types of people. Anyway, she was walking her dog, and obviously she looks sexy, and obviously, you know, she's not single. Right, so I reached the end of the path. There's not really any problems down the path. A car reverses out of drive as I reached the end, and then 6 cars in a black and blue, and there's several red, and a Julia Lerner car which is also red. Then a car reverses at me, and a van pulls up, remaining started, as I go to cross the road. Then there's a load of cars that are timed out that road before looking behind and noticing that there's cars also coming out the road behind, and more cars passing on the main part. 3/4 of those cars are in that pattern of black and blue, or sexual, or knife shaped, or gun shaped, or whatever you want to call it. After that there's a started car before a car reversing out of a drive at me, timed as I pass that driveway. Then there's 2 started cars, so I move aside, and because I can't get around because the traffic is busy, there's a started car as I go to pass the next bit and then cross the road, and then I don't realise that on the other side that car started as well. But as I go back around to get to the normal path, there's a started car and a car reversing out a driveway, so I decide to cross over the road, and as I cross over the road, a car's reversing out the first driveway, and then a car reverses out the second driveway before a car pulls up, remaining started. As that occurs, the traffic flow is busy, and obviously drain covers are being hit over, and there's several sexual cars, another Julia Lerner car, and a couple of grey cars and whatever. I cross back over, and there's a car reversing out of a drive before a started car, and a van pulling up, remaining started. After that, a car's reversing out of a driveway at speed, nearly hitting me, so as I go around it, there's an overhanging trailer from behind being towed by a car that's trying to rip my legs off from behind. As I get past that, there's another started car and a car that's backing in to a driveway, so I cross over, and then there's 2 started cars that suddenly occur. And then obviously after that there's a bike tied to an erection on that road. So I get around the corner to the next section, and there's roughly 10 started cars on both sides of the roads. Then there's a teenage single mother boasting about her baby and her boyfriend, who's also about the age of 20 or maybe a bit younger, and a rough type person with that rough accent. A van pulls up and remains started. Then there's two started cars. Another car reverses out of me out of a driveway before another car reverses out at me out of a driveway. After that, a car reverses into a driveway as I go to pass, and then as I reach the main road, there's a black car, 3 white cars, a load of black and blue, and then about 100 more, followed by a mixture of OJ Williams, a fairground lorry, an 8 times loud bike tying to an erection straight after. You've got Abri housing vans, ABRI, the fairground ride that says Fathers for Your Pleasure. After that you've got a weld van, and then obviously the clean hard van, which I saw yesterday. I think that's a new van name, I don't recall seeing that one before. I'm not 100% sure. And obviously I've seen it again today, which occurred straight after. A crow goes ha ha ha, sunny weather. Trying to get in an erection, they need to time a bike. Drain covers hit over. Someone takes a photograph of me, and then there's another bike issue. As I walk out of the shop, I forgot what happened on the road because I've not written it down. Someone trying to sneeze in my face. A person gets out of a started car, coughing, not directly in my face but very near. Then there's 2 more started cars. A started car in a driveway doing nothing. There's a couple of worded vehicles, but I can't remember what the name of them was because I didn't write it down because I had my I was carrying alcohol and had heavy bags and whatever else because I'm trying to get off of the spirits. I still got some spirits for tonight, so vodka, but I'm trying to go back to my weak cans of lager, which is not a good thing to do because obviously it makes me feel down when I'm on lower amounts, but I might have to do this because obviously health and also because the cost. Right, so after that, I've forgotten what the names were. If I can remember, I'll let you know. A car reverses into a driveway. There's a row of 5 started cars, and as I cross over, there's a car reversing in a driveway. Then there's a started van, a couple of drain covers hit over, a sexual car, a grey car tied out of a road and over drain cover. Reach further down, there's 3 more started cars. What else? Right, so the other thing that you had after that was a grey sexual car, a yellow car, an orange sexual car, I think it's a Bedford van, an orangey type colour that's very shiny but is a 1960s type of van that's been kept in very good clean condition. Another started car. A van pulls up remaining started. As I cross the road, there's an 8 times loud bike tying to an erection. Then there's a 9 times loud bike tying to an erection about 45 seconds later, after passing a couple of black and blue cars and a started car next to the track I'm going down. When I go down that track, a person is trying to sneeze in my face. As I pass the next person, that person's also trying to sneeze in my face. A woman coughs in my direction, but she is clean about it and she's putting her hand over her mouth. And then there's a couple of animal voice sounds in a corrupt way of making corrupt sounds, accusing me of this and that. And that's it for the actual track. So after that, I re-approach on the road where there can be 45 minutes to an hour without traffic, and there's about 20 vehicles. In the midst of that, there's a black and a blue car and a red car. The other cars are mostly out of order, so they're not too suggestive. I managed to get through all that, and then when I get to the next section where the dead end is, there's 3 cars that come into my direction. Where the farm machinery was operating earlier in the field, there was a couple of vehicles in there. There's now only 1, and luckily it's at the far end, so it meant I could walk through that field, and I walked through the whole of that field with no problems. When I came back onto that road where there can be a 45-minute or hour period without a single car on that road at times, there was a grey car timed, but that was it for that specific road. When I got to the next road, which is a bit busier, you had a Tesco van followed by a Somerset Waste Partnership dust cart, and then a Guarantee van, which is a blue van with white writing, all in order with no cars in between. And then you had a grey car, 2 white cars, a grey car and a white car. If we go back to this painting, this Lauren cursed painting I mentioned earlier, then obviously what they're trying to apply is you're not having a sex partner, you're having nothing. You're a waste of space, Somerset Waste Partnership, and that is a guarantee that you're not going to get nothing. So that's what they're saying. But if we go back to 2015 or 2016 area, when I actually went to Tesco's in Highbridge, this Lauren could work me out, and she knew that I needed a fuck, because I've not had it properly in my whole life. So she was trying to sort of make the suggestion that she'll do it, she'll do it, and but the problem is, with people coming up behind me, or rough people always occurring when I pass her, or things happening, and at times I've been forced to go out of the actual store itself because people were getting nasty with me. And then obviously it caused her to turn, especially when the Savannah and Liam threat came in, and then obviously I was rarely seeing her, and then I found out later on she's in a sexual relationship with Mike, so it went all over the place, and that's how she fell out. Right, so yesterday you had a positive setup when it came to this suggestion of Lauren, when it came to these sexual setups. Obviously these setups were changing yesterday, but it was a mixture of friendly setups with the malicious force that's usually stacked up around me. So you had the Tesco van and the replacement van. So that replacement van is a white van with black writing, with like a light bulb picture at the end of the writing, and then underneath it you've got the phone number or the contact details of what the person does, for the company of that van. Later on yesterday, when I was in Barrack Cemetery, there was a Tesco van followed by a Love Boat car, which is the Love Boat car which I think is from Weymouth. So basically what they were saying is, when it comes to Tesco's, making a suggestion, making a hint to apply that Lauren's turned against you. So like they know, and they're trying to say there's going to be a sexual replacement woman for the damage that's done of what's caused Lauren to turn against me, or to go in a relationship if she wasn't in a relationship with Mike back at the time of 2015 or 2016 when I was seeing her on a regular basis. But as it stands today, all this force is getting nasty again. So basically they're telling me you're not having nothing, you're having nothing at all, and it's a guarantee, we're just going to rip you to pieces, and that sort of thing. Right, so after I walk across that road, I go down the track on the other side. After going down there about 45 seconds or 1 minute, it splits into 2 tracks, and it's the same area as where someone wanted to start on me the other day, or wanted to smash me out, but I took that risk anyway because I wanted to go down there. I just fancied to walk down there. So initially, where the 2 tracks occur, there's a bike coming out of both of them, near enough aligned and synchronised, tying to an erection in my direction. One of them actually sneezes very close to me as he passes. Then another person on a bike is tied to an erection as I go down one of those tracks. After that, there's a couple of people, and they're sneezing in my direction, not directly at me, but very close, as they're walking in my direction with several sneezes. And behind that, you've got a lady aged about 20 with a baby in her sling. And then if I was to go any further, there's two people in their mid-20s with a rough accent and look like bearded types of people, the type that really start on people or smash people to pieces or whatever, who were having an argument. So I turned around and went back the other way. As I reached the track where it splits into the single track, a bike is tying to an erection, and then a bike comes off the main road into my direction, tying to an erection, followed by an 8 times loud bike that's slightly distant, also tying to an erection. After I pass that, there's a break-in threat that occurs from somewhere, and there's a hearse that's timed on that road, which is a funeral car, followed by a black mixed with red car, another black mixed with red car, and a black mixed with red sexual car. Then you had a Smiles All Around van. I think it just says Smiles, but it used to say Smiles All Around, which is an orangey colour van with yellow writing. You had a blue car, another blue car, another blue car, all 3 cars of the same shade of blue. Then you had another blue, but it's a slightly darker blue. Then you had 2 light blue sexual cars, which are near enough the same shade, same colour, maybe a slight difference. Then you had 3 white cars, and after that I can't remember what else occurred on that specific road. So after that, I go onto the road where you can sometimes get 45 minutes or an hour without a single car. So there's about 10 vehicles that are in my direction. While walking that road also, there was 2 loud bikes tying to an erection, and when I got into the field, I was in there for about 5 minutes or so. I'm not sure exactly how many minutes, maybe just over 5 minutes, and there was roughly 10 loud bikes to erections being awkwardly timed and to itchy bumhole or whatever, which annoyed me. After that, I got to the dead end road, and there was 3 cars timed as I went past there, and a loud bike tying to an erection. Distant, but it occurred. When I got to the road where there can be 45 minutes or an hour without any traffic, there was about 40 cars. I don't know why it was so busy, but it could be because of the time of the day, being like 4 o'clock or whatever it is. It's a time where there's a lot of traffic about, or it could just be set up. Well, most cars weren't really in that suggestive order, so luckily there wasn't much in the way of suggestion, but there were still a few cars that were coming out in like a red, white, grey, white pattern, and I think there would have been 1 or 2 where black and blue was also being suggested. And obviously I had a couple of sexual cars in the mints, and obviously I had 2 vans as well. Right, so after those 2 vans, you had a Wayne lorry in my direction, spelt W-A-I-N, so they want to stir trouble with that person again. After that, there was a couple of more loud bikes tying to an erection, both on the roundabout ahead and distant. There was a started car that was, I don't know if it's in the gate area or something like that, I didn't take much notice. However, the second car that was started was in a farm gate area of 2 old people pulling up to do whatever they needed to do. As I reached the roundabout, all the setups occur there. Right, so when I reached the roundabout, you had the life fan, or live life on the veg or something like that. I can't remember the name of what it said. So it's in little letters, but in massive writing. But I think it's sort of, if I remember, it's sort of greeny sort of colour, mixed colours. You had a sexual car, a 1980s looking sexual car, a blue racing car, so it's like a light blue sort of colour, a Finker van, Finka, pull boy van. So it's like a company that tows other vehicles or uses straps or conveyor belts or whatever they use for a specific purpose. I'm not quite sure what the company is. After that, there's a white sexual car, a creamy sexual car. Then you had a load of cars like red, white, grey, white. Not so much in the way of black and blue on this specific occasion. I think you had a learner car, a Julia learner car again, which is one I've seen 3 times today. And I'm trying to think what else occurred. I think you had a taxi, but that's not really a setup as such. That's just an ordinary sort of. It sort of braked up there. It sort of collapsed. It wasn't really too suggestive. Not like the time of when I passed there earlier today. Once I get past there, I go onto that road, and there's 4 loud bikes tied to an erection with about 15 cars between the roundabout and Barrack Cemetery. The hour and a bit that I've been in the cemetery, there's been about 80 loud bikes tied to an erection, and there's been 8 threats, anything from smashing you out to knifing you dead to putting you down as a child rapist to fucking beating you to fucking death and whatever else. So there has been some fucking nasty threats, but it hasn't been too bad, but it's been definitely nastier than what it has been recently. Right, so we've had a few threats in the last about 10 minutes. Fucking icing, smash him in said. Obviously there's been a couple of loud bike issues as well. Life's lost said. Sick cunt, child molester, life's lost. Fucking beat him, wussy said. Then a seagull says this, saying child molester just knife dead. Fucking mongrel twat, knife him dead. Bye bye twat, said in temper. Rice just said. Robbery, ha ha ha, Sven said. Obviously that's not my name, but that's what's been said. Fucking smash him in, dangerous paedophile said. Sven he is said. Dead spastic said. Paedophile just said. So obviously I'm at the back of the church because it's kicking off. There's been a lot of people that have been passing, mostly rough people, and people mistaken me as that Sven and Liam. It's the nastiest evening that I've been in Barrack for quite some time. In fact, the last time it was this nasty goes back to last year, in fact, because the threats have been down this year up until today. I say today, there was a couple of days where it's been occurring, especially on Saturday, not so much when I went to the bar or anything like that, but either side of that, people are getting a lot more nastier at the moment for some reason. However, if we go back before, say, Friday, then there hasn't really been any threats for 2 months. So, there's been someone in the graveyard, a very old lady just sitting there, and obviously we're coming into dark and she's just popped away. Whether she comes back, I don't know. She appears to be writing stuff down on paper. However, it's been very rough in the last well, she's probably heard it herself. There's a mixture of people playing football, shouting to claim this and that. You know, they're bringing up the name Sven and obviously getting my name muddled up in the threats, and I'm not very happy about it. Even though they can't see me, there just seems to be an argument where they try to communicate with each other to suggest that issue. And there's been a couple of people that going up and down the road that have said a few things as well, and that old lady's definitely going to have heard some of this. Not much of it, because obviously she hasn't been there an awful long time, and it's sort of calmed down in the time period near enough when she arrived here. But just before that, it was very rough. and she would have heard at least 5 of these threats. So let me go through them. Sick cunt robbery, he's sick, smash him in. Laser said, and also my brother's name's been mentioned. Gonna fucking murder him if I fight him, said. Just shouted by a kid. Someone says gonna knife him, sad Justin, he is a child rapist. Then obviously from a crow says, fuck da, D-A-H, Justin. Paedophile said, by a person. Hot just said, robbers just. Footballers say, sick, just, shoot down. He's Sven, shouted after. Sick, shouted, sick cunt, he's a fucking mongrel. Being shot down said, that's the one, dead, dead, dead. HIV needle the cunt, sad chap, gone just. That would be the threat, or one of the early threats that old lady would have heard. Right, so total spastic, shouted. Then there's a loud bike issue, and a couple of more threats that are similar. Right, so I've left the graveyard because it's starting to smell bad now, because it smells like a catalyst. Obviously I can't smell because I've just had the flu, and it's knocked my smell out of place, but you do know that what you are smelling is catalytic converter fumes. Yesterday when I was on this road, there wasn't actually a car. I'll let you know how many there is when I reach the end. Right, so there's 9 vehicles on that stretch of road, and then obviously after that you also had a bike only tied to a stretch, also a loud bike from behind, and someone was saying that you're having a break-in and being fucking smashed out, mistaking me as Sven from a house window. Right, so there's been 2 loud distant bikes tied to an erection, one bike my way, and while trying to document a threat from the bike, someone coughs and they hear me from a open farmhouse door, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that threat is a bloke on a bike is moaning about me, claiming that I'm looking at a boy who's called Michael, and getting a bit shitty about it, and basically saying, can you stop staring at that specific person? I don't know who that is, but the only Mike I know is my father, who has the same name. And obviously I knew a school friend called Michael Cornwall once, but I don't really speak to him, so we don't really sort of, actually we've kind of fallen out really in some ways, but never mind. So I made it off of the road yesterday. I can't remember how many there was. I think there's just 2 cars or something like that, where today you've had 7, which included black and blue and red. Right, this is fucking unusual. I've seen 2 cloud formations in the sky. I'm not sure how to describe the first phase, but it gives the impression of a good-looking female at a young age. But the facial appearance in the cloud at the moment looks similar to... Right, so we've got catalytic converter control. There's been a train time, because obviously I'm walking in an area where there's a train. Obviously I'm not going to get on a train. It'd be nice to, because obviously you can go to places, and even if it's this time of the night, I wouldn't mind visiting places and coming back like early hours of the morning or the next day. I can stay up all night, but obviously that's not going to take place. And incidentally, you probably hear the music. I'm listening to headphones tonight because I didn't get a chance last night. I'm currently listening to Flynn and Flora, a track called Jungle Love, and before that I was listening to Go Blue, Angels in Rhythm, on DJ recordings. So a couple of jungle tracks. Right, so it's complete gas control with a catalytic converter, so doing exactly what they did on that fucking first day. controlling me with a catalytic converter. Every breath I take is catalytic converter, because they want to make me a catalytic converter, because the Creator God, or the people that are doing this, the elite, the government, the CIA, the FBI, the mafia, the military, whoever they are fucking corrupt in the fucking head, and they want me to be in a post of fucking catalytic converter, and I'm fucking breathing. Every fucking breath for the last 15 fucking minutes has been catalytic converter. No other fucking breathing, just fucking catalytic converter, because these bastards are fucking buckled. There we are, go here again, catalytic converter, gas up on gas, Christ, gas. Yes, it's gas, Christ, you fucking buckled cunt. Is it made clear to you, timed? And yes, it is made clear to me. A loud bike is slammed to my fucking penis going very high, Christ. And now it's catalytic converter, a catalytic converter. It's gas, Christ, fucking gas, alright? You buckled cunt, Christ. Managed to escape the area, but there's another 50 to 60 cars that need to be timed at this time in the evening, which is record breaking. Right, so there's a braking threat, and they need to hit out loud bikes, slam to my penis, and to tell me that I'm on a bike, alright, a bike, Christ, you fucking buckled fucking hell-bent bastard, you sexual slaughter, fucking tear away, you ice axing, fucking smash that fucking ice from the fucking side in my fucking throat, in my fucking mouth, and my fucking heart. And do the same with a fire stake and fucking burning fucking whatever, Christ. It's gotta stop, pal. This is taking the fucking piss, these setups. Absolutely taking the fucking piss. Right, I can't get to the catalytic converter hot point. They've broken the record. Well, not broken the record. But, it's near enough like a motorway there. It's the busiest I've known it since a diversion, or whatever it was, when I first ever came up here, taking that specific direction. Quite literally, if I go there, there's just going to be car up on car. Obviously I'm not there yet, but if I was to go there, or I reach there, that's going to be busy as fuck. Right, so I've reached the catalytic converter hot point in about 100 feet, and you just had another 20 plus vehicles pass on that specific stretch. So they're going back to the fucking setup they did before the good suggested sexual setups. But this is never done to be nice, so I don't know what they're fucking up to. I'm going to leave this on record until I get to the There we are, catalyst hot point. Next car. It's just one after the fucking other. I don't know why this is happening. There we are, next one. They're doing it on purpose. The government are fucking corrupt. Unless the Creator God's fucking fallen. Right, so catalyst, Christ, catalytic converter, gas control. Oh, so I push record and it comes to a stop. I accidentally pushed stop, Christ, that's right. Disguise the evidence, you nasty bastard. Well, it's just catalyst under catalyst under catalyst under catalyst. A catalytic converter, Christ. It's supposed to suggest sex with an old granny or Lisa Pike attraction, but they tend to suggest more of a tomato ketchup smell. That suggestion of a negative lady or someone that looks like sick off the floor or fucking that's got disease or whatever. They're fucking crap, these people. I'm getting a bit pissed off with it. I've been drinking nowhere near as much as last night at the moment for this time period, I don't think. And incidentally, I've got my MP3 player. I'm listening to a jungle track, and it's not a jungle track that they like to reissue, but they have reissued it. I think it's on Night Force Records. It's called FBD Project Journeys, but when it was initially released, it was released by a Coventry artist known as Neil Tricks, and went under the name of FBD Project. And I think he did the track in late 1993, and it's quite a good track.